Now, a lot of what's discussed in this debate has to do with analyzing the past. Was the cash for clunkers a good idea? Should we have spent the time that we did on passing Obamacare rather than addressing the economic problems that we were having? Another issue was the stimulus plan. Was it a good idea then? And I point out that it is being applied here in St. Paul to basically run a high-speed train straight up St. Paul's Midway, straight up the main street of St. Paul, University Avenue, and that businesses are fleeing before a coming storm of stimulus spending that Obama has said we need to rebuild our infrastructure and somehow kickstart our economy, build confidence in our economy. Well, obviously, this is the total opposite of what this is how this is being applied by St. Paul Mayor Chris Coleman, by Betty McCollum, and other people who Betty says have been waiting 20 years to do this. They were constantly stopped because Minnesota didn't want it, because it was going to be destructive of those businesses. Those businesses, they don't want people to just go through there. They want people to go to there. Businesses can only survive when people can get off the train and get over and patronize that business. And this reflects a great deal of diversity that has really enriched Minnesota and St. Paul, and especially since the time of George Latimer, in which they've transformed that avenue by bringing in businesses that serve a new market of Southeast Asians, of Vietnamese, of Hmong, and now some other immigrants and refugees from Africa, from Latin America. We've got immigration, and all of this has been building up, has been supporting the transformation into a real marketplace along that University Avenue.
We'll start with Mr. Carlson. Has the stimulus spending worked? How much is spent? Why does the government want to get approved to spend more dollars, more of the dollars left?
Well, I think a good example that we have of stimulus spending is the Central Corridor project. Has it worked? They're building a high-speed train up the main street of St. Paul, University Avenue, all the way to Minneapolis. They're going to be destroying businesses, jobs, and neighborhoods. Does that work? This is a great example of where the federal government, again, gets involved, and it's got its own higher intellectual powers, and they know more than you. The Obamacrats, they know better than you what's good for you. They know better than the Constitution how the government's supposed to work. And so it doesn't work. They're actually destroying businesses, and I've asked Chris Coleman to please start attracting businesses back to that and to delay and elevate that train, which is coming from those stimulus dollars. So that's an example.
Central Corridor is something I'm very proud to work with the St. Paul Chamber of Commerce on. That is a project that's been in the pipeline for 20 years. It is a project which includes citizens, local business, county, regional rail authorities, and the reason why the business community is excited about it, if we are going to attract and keep the major corporations we have and support the small corporations that are here, transportation's key.
You can find a complete discussion of the issues facing voters November 2nd at my campaign website, www.stevecarlsonforcongress2010.com. But here are some issues I'd like to touch on quickly and draw attention to. These are pieces of the coherent growth strategy for the 4th District. They include the need to rein in federal spending and the stimulus program, which in Minnesota is exemplified, not a positive example, in the plans underway to build a light rail train up University Avenue through St. Paul from the state capitol to Minneapolis, funded by earmarked stimulus dollars.
We were in an economic 9/11, and we were told by economists that we needed to do something to jumpstart and to rescue the economy from further failure. There were many ideas that were out there. We heard from conservative economics, we heard from people who were very liberal on it, and so we came together to put a rescue package for this economy to the very best we could. And one big part of it, a third of it, was tax cuts on payroll taxes, because We heard from many of the conservative economics people that we need to include that. We heard from many realtors, many families, many economists that we needed to do something to give confidence in home sales. We did that. Was one time. And the other group that we heard from was the American auto industry. And we didn't want to see millions of more people finding themselves on the unemployed rolls. And so Cash for Clunkers was instituted on a short time.
Thank you. Mr. Carlson?
Well, I mean, these kind of measures did help to drive the economy, and now we're suffering from their loss. But I mean, look, the biggest problem that we have right now is that we're about to lose our auto industry to the Chinese. I mean, right now they're over there forcing companies like GM and other auto companies. GM now, we're the big owners of it, and they're going to force us to enter into what they call indigenous innovation, and where we share our copyright and patents and intellectual capital with them as a part of a joint venture. And then they take it and they're going to take over the auto industry. This is a big problem. They're going to at least double their output of autos over the next 4 years to about 65 million. So to me, Cash for Clunkers is, you know, it's quaint. It's not what we got to worry about now. We have to get revved up to get back in the leadership position of the world economics.
Thank you.
The Cash for Clunkers program was justified both in part to ensure that the unions who vote strongly Democratic received their payoff from the election, and also in part to ensure the environmental implementation of regulations and rules that couldn't get passed through Congress. The destruction of perfectly usable cars in exchange for the purchase of new cars, which the government through Cash for Clunkers paid far more for than would have been paid retail, is not a sensible intervention. What we needed was the sort of intervention of improving Americans' infrastructure, just as the U.S. Chamber of Commerce said in their open letter to President Obama. Not this incentive to buy more consumer goods in that sense, but rather to invest in the infrastructure that allows businesses to expand and create jobs.
The real problem is not Cash for Clunkers. It isn't even whether the stimulus bill has worked or not. The real question is we face grave international competition. You'll see that in this debate, and especially in the recent days, it's become more clear that the problem that we face is that the Chinese are about to buy our auto industry. And I think this is the time when we've got to put our foot down. And I have said online and in this debate and right here that we've got to put our foot down. How did we get in this situation? We're at the situation now that there is a Chinese venture called SAIC that has been a joint venture partner with GM, and they're being successful because just like the Germans, a lot of the job growth and the sales growth in autos has been in China. China's auto production is projected to just double over the next 4 years to about 65 million. They're already the largest auto market in the world. And so now they want to buy General Motors. And how is this going to happen? The plan is to offer the Chinese an opportunity to buy shares in an IPO offering that would give them a large stake in perhaps up to 40% of GM. And this could creep up, especially because China has already asked all the auto producers in China to come up with what they call indigenous innovation. Transfer of technology from Western companies to the Chinese so that they can take that technology and help to take over the world auto market. Already the Chinese are leading in the production of hybrid vehicle electrical systems. Vote for change, vote independence. With our free market system, our nation was great. We've got to act because it's slipping before it's too late. Let's give American businesses a shot. You know they'll pull their weight.